July 20th, 1969. Nice. Neil Armstrong was the first human to step foot on the moon, as the famous quote he stated was, "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." And now the zombies community will have the opportunity in a much different manner. The undead have found their way onto the moon as the crew looks to defend and kill as long as they possibly can. I have to say that there is much more valuable information if you want to take on the moon world record attempt yourself, so I've left every link I used in the description down below, and I want to give a huge shout out to Wunderful on his moon world record history video for being the outline for this video. What's going on, guys? My name is Zach, and today we take a deep dive into Earth's counterpart, Moon High Round Strat's history. When Moon was released on August 23rd, 2011, it provided a lot of new mechanics and a brand new wonder weapon and one new perk. The first obvious sight was the anti-gravity feature. For those who are unaware, the moon has less of a gravitational pull than compared to Earth, 1/6 of the strength to be exact, so Treyarch had to implement some kind of tech in order to symbolize the real moon effect. They decided to add space suits for players to acquire in order to get to certain places on the map. Oxygen is not in the moon's atmosphere, so the player would suffocate and game over like real life after 15 seconds with Jug. The second feature was the new wonder weapon in the wave gun, arguably one of the best wonder weapons of all time, since it doesn't only do infinite damage, but it's also equipped with 2 zap guns, posing as a dual wield threat to zombies, also doing infinite damage. The final feature that was noticed off of launch was the new perk called Mule Kick. Mule Kick was later added to all the other Black Ops 1 maps, but it allows the player to hold 3 weapons instead of 2. Lots of more information to come, but let's get into the first strategy, Biodome Strat. It didn't take more than 2 weeks until the first strategy was used in a real game. The first strategy that was used for high rounds was created by Venom. As for the majority of first strategies, the Biodome was a really big and massive area to easily hoard up all the zombies. The first record would train in the very back of the Biodome since it was the safest and most consistent strat. Later on, it would be modified to train towards the entrance of the Biodome because it would increase your seconds per horde or SPH. Moon doesn't have any infinite damaging traps or special rounds, so implementing trade strat was a necessity to get past certain rounds. A trade is when a zombies player will put the wonder weapon back into the box when out of ammo and grab a new one with full ammo. The zombie counter gets so high that the player can't always wait for a max ammo, so they have to improvise by doing trades. In this situation, it could be best to trade out Gersh devices as well, since there are QEDs to replace them. Gersh devices do infinite damage and 3 extra zombie hordes killed every time you trade them out. Over the course of a 70-hour zombies game will add up. QEDs are also beneficial and have other implications, like you can actually get a wave gun by throwing a QED. QEDs involve a lot more tech for this video, so again, check the description for more information. Biodome was an easy to learn strategy, but it didn't last for long. Spawn Room Strat. The next strategy that was discovered didn't arrive until June of 2013, when a player named Frenzy discovered Spawn Room Strat. As in the case for the majority of maps, playing in the spawn room is usually a lot faster than most areas on the map. It's especially true with Moon. Moon's spawn room only has 2 barriers and 1 hole in the ground where zombies jump up into the room. For some reason, both doors open outside of the spawn room is technically a slower zombies path to the player, so they jump up in the middle of the room, which is very avoidable for most players, and it leads to clean zombie horde ups. Frenzy decided to board up one of the windows, gather all the zombies from the other window, then loop back around and grab the other zombies from the second window and the hole in the ground, shoot the wave gun into the horde, and repeat. This strategy is a huge improvement from Biodome Strat for a couple of reasons. For starters, it is around 3 times faster, and running spawn somehow made managing ammo usage a lot easier. The main downside was having to deal with the astronaut, since the spawn room is significantly smaller than the Biodome area. Also, it introduced some new tech, as if you don't break any of the windows, the player is able to hold on to the hacker instead of the spacesuit, hack the excavators and the box location to make trades faster. Around this time, it was discovered that using the perk Speed Cola greatly increased the speed of using the hacker, which is very beneficial for the new fastest strategy. There are many guides on how to run this effectively, such as there are certain spots where you can shoot the Mustang and Sally and throw Gershes efficiently, but that's not what this video is about. Later on, there was a modification to the strategy, since a script error would occur when players shot the zombies coming out of the hole too early, meaning they simply just waited for the zombies to jump up, then eliminate them with the wave gun. Let me know if you would want me to make high round strategy guides in the comment section below. Anyways, let's head into the next strategy, MPL Instas strategy. During Frenzy's game, he had to implement the first ever insta-kill strategy on the map. There are many different wall weapons that could have been implemented implemented here. Anything in the spawn room was an absolute no-go, since breaking the windows would have resulted in the game over and restart the game. Frenzy opted into relying on the MPL wall buy, since it was a fairly simple strategy that only had 2 windows to look after in the MPL room, and he made sure to keep the rest of Tunnel 6 closed. He pack-a-punched the MPL and simply started to shred through zombies like they were going out of style. Frenzy ended up only getting to round 167 before reaching a script error, so to say that insta-kill strat has been unoptimized would be an understatement, but would get more attention in the upcoming years. AK74-U Instas strategy. It didn't take too terribly long until a new player made it to insta-kill rounds, and his name was J-Minator. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Since Instas was still very new, he decided to implement his own strategy by using the mule kick area outside and used the AK74-U for Instas. This was a much safer and slower strategy than MPL Instas due to the mule kick being a bigger and more spread out area. The strategy was quickly seen as a safe play for new players, but in terms of speedrunning to reset or simply just wanting to play faster to achieve a higher round, this strategy was quickly ruled out by the majority of the zombies community. Before we head into the next strategy, I would just like to say if you are enjoying the content, feel free to subscribe, as we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers and is very much appreciated. Feel free to throw a like on the video as well, since it helps the algorithm push the video out there, and if you simply don't like the video, let me know in the comment section below what I can do to improve. And now let's get back into the video. M14 Instas. Now we make our way back to the spawn room where most of the fastest strategies are played. It was theorized back then that shooting the windows in the spawn room would be a game over, which is still the case, but not shooting the windows are actually a lot simpler than one would think, only having to worry about the 2 windows in the hole in the ground just like the full horde strategy. And since the M14 is in a favorable location just outside of the spawn room, it could be done very quickly and efficiently. Semtex Instas. Semtex Instas is one of the more controversial parts about this map for one main reason. Yes, the Semtex wall buy is in a favorable spot for players. However, when using the grenades right under or near the ceiling spawn, it could potentially cancel the spawn. Spawn canceling in the high round community is a big no-no, since they consider the game no longer legit, which I think it's just abusing a bad game mechanic and should be allowed in my personal opinion. Anyways, just like the Shangri-La Semtex Strat from the last high round history video, the player would sit right next to the Semtex wall buy and spam through them into the ground and surrounding area to eliminate zombies very fast. The strategy was discovered by a player that everyone in the community has confirmed as one of the best zombies players ever and has made many appearances throughout these videos, and that player is Furret Can Walk. This strategy will later be ruled out since Semtex Instas really unstabilized the game and leads to more inconsistent reset times. Locking box strategy. This is actually the first strategy in channel history where I have to talk about a strat that doesn't involve killing zombies. Moon is very unique in many different ways, but one of the strats discovered by Furret proved that you can actually lock down the box and keep it in the spawn room from 3 to 5 rounds. All the player had to do was use the hacker on a box location that the box wasn't there and it wouldn't move there. Also, the player would get a free hit on the box once the location was hacked, so it could result in some insane luck and save loads of time. Once the box was locked in spawn, the player can resume the normal spawn room strategy. One window strategy. We now arrived at one of the more popular high round strats in Black Ops 3 called the one window strategy. In Black Ops 1, the player would head towards the tiny room before the stamina up room, but the player would leave the door leading there closed. Doing this results in the zombie spawning out of 2 areas, the one window in the corner of the room, then another ceiling spawn that leads just down the pathway towards the stam door. Immediately, there was 2 massive issues with this strategy. The first one was having to deal with the astronaut because of course, but trapping the astronaut became problematic since the player had to open all the way up through tunnel 6 and there wasn't any oxygen on the side of the map with this strategy. The player had to run to the air pocket door every 17 seconds or 15 seconds without Juggernog in order to not suffocate and absolutely perish in the process. We are on the moon after all. Many players wanted to hold the hacker over the spacesuit instead of having to run over and pick up the hacker every time they wanted drops. The second issue was something that we discussed earlier, and that was canceling the ceiling spawn. Sometimes the player wouldn't shoot anywhere near this area and the spawn would cancel, hence making the game no longer legitimate from community standards and had to reset. It would later be discovered that it was now possible to play with the astronaut in the room alongside not having to worry about canceling spawns. In terms of spawn canceling, it's very tech heavy and would be left in the description instead of going on a 20-minute tangent. But for the astronaut, players found that they could babysit the astronaut around one of the pillars in the room so he couldn't make his way to the player. Not having to run into the air pocket room every 17 seconds resulted in saving a lot of time and pushing the map closer and closer to its limits. M16 Instas. It was only a matter of time until arguably the best Instas round of all time had to make its appearance. After the one window strategy was optimized and deemed to be the fastest strategy for high rounders, the M16 became the new meta as it was the closest wall weapon near this room. For those who are unaware, the upgraded M16 M16 has 2 new features. The burst assault rifle is now an automatic rifle, and Treyarch decided to throw on a grenade launcher to the weapon because of course. The grenade launcher spelled disaster for the incoming hordes of zombies, as the range on this piece was truly ahead of its time. Outside of having to be aware of the master spawner and spawn canceling the ceiling spawn, this could be played as fast as 8 seconds per horde, basically just killing 24 zombies as fast as humanly possible. This is the current Instas strategy for the map. I know that this video is well overdue, but due to me getting hospitalized with an illness I'm still recovering from is far from ideal. In terms of what's next for the map, it's hard to really tell, but just so everyone knows, the max round for all Black Ops 1 maps is the 32-bit integer limit of round 2,147,483,647. Obviously, this round can't be achieved without cheating, but will there ever be a game that's played over round 256? Time will tell, but that's all I have for you today. If you enjoyed, please smash that like button and subscribe if you're new. Comment down below what maps you would like me to cover, but other than that, my name is Zach, and you have made it to my next video. Peace.